what's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966. 66!
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Today's guest, Kareem El Rafie, the Egyptian mummy from Sweden. Dad's Egyptian, mom's Swedish. Wears cornrows. Definitely influenced by Mark Frank Montoya heavily. This guy's a total G. I've been friends with him for a long time. Introduced by another forum rider, Phil Thomas, in the mid-2000s. I connected with Kareem because this guy doesn't do it for any other reason than he just loves to snowboard. The guy is currently in Whistler, staying at Cale Stevens' house, renting a snowmobile, not even filming, not shooting photos for anything, strictly for the pure love. See, it's never been about the tricks to Kareem. It's always about how the trick is done. By who, what they're wearing, what their vibe's about. You know, it's more than just a trick to Kareem. As the very cliche saying goes, snowboarding is an art. And to Kareem, well, I don't think really Kareem gives a shit about art. Kareem cares about the soul of snowboarding, going up there, shredding with your friends, bringing a beer up maybe, stopping halfway down the run, and maybe just hanging out with your friends in the woods and smoking a spliff. I'm not saying that that's the necessary, way to go about your day. You could give a shit about weed. Well, it's not even about weed for Kareem. It's about the appreciation of being up in the mountains with your friends and, enjoying the little things. Nollie half cabs, front 180s, shifties, nollie half cabs. Kareem to this day is the first and only guy I've ever seen do a nollie front 180 and a nollie back 180 on a jump probably 30 to 40 feet in size at a summer camp. As you know, summer camp jumps are bulletproof on the takeoff and complete slush in the landing. Who the hell would want to try a nollie half cab on a 40-foot park jump in the summer? I'll tell you, the guy who's doing it for the soul, as he would say. That was a terrible impersonation, but, I tried. There's not a single person who has met Kareem and forgot him. I mean, the guy's Egyptian. There's a slight chance that his bloodline built the pyramids, or maybe ruled Egypt. Well, that we will never know, but one thing we do know is that Kareem has been giving back to the snowboard community for a long time. He held a contest in downtown Stockholm for over 10 years called the Frontline Rail Jam, named after his clothing company, Frontline. Not only did Kareem start this clothing company where he chose to shine spotlights on the likes of Heldor Helgeson, Aki Helgeson, Eman Anderson, Kevin Griffin, and myself, to name a few, he was also a child-born superstar. Well, not so much, but kind of. He blew up on the scene when he filmed for the Forum movie That, which was a huge production to be a part of. You'll find out on the podcast which forum rider kinda embraced Kareem, took him under his wing, and brought him onto the crew. At that era, being a part of Forum was like being a part of, the Beatles, as big as you could get. Kareem's part in that was simple, short, and sweet, kinda just like his riding today. Good tricks, clean, good style, cornrows, Egyptian. And after filming with Forum That, Kareem just kind of got burnt out, dude. There's a bunch of times he got let down. Kareem's story isn't about Kareem's rise to superstardom. It's more like the people who know who Kareem is. It's kind of like an underdog, dude. He never put out that many albums, but it's not that he wasn't able and not talented enough to put out all those albums. It's that he was just working with some funky ass labels, dude, that were letting him down. Sometimes even recording an album and then the record label, never putting that shit out. I don't know why I use the analogy, but, I think it's almost fitting, dude. The guy got kind of let down on a bunch of shit. I remember every time Kareem would have a few clips in a movie, I couldn't wait to see more. Which is kind of a good thing. Would you rather see somebody who's filming a ton of footage, but then you watch it and you're bored, or a guy who just has a few clips in every movie, but it leaves you wanting more? Kind of like Ricky Tucker, if you know who that is from Kids Know, you definitely know if you know. Kareem's that dude. If you know, you know. He's always has a handful of tricks that get leaked in a bunch of different videos throughout the year, and at least the entire snowboard community that I'm with goes like, damn, like homie just faked into a wall. Trick selection on point. Over the years, you probably saw Kareem in such films as Factor Films, Sugar Shack Films, Forum Films, Helgeson, that Euro shit, Blue Tomato. I always wonder, what is Blue Tomato? I always seen that Blue Tomato, eh? What up, Blue Tomato? Sexual Snowboarding, Dope Industries, VG, aka Videograss. Kareem's been up in everything, man. I feel there's gonna be some solid takeaway from this podcast. One of them being how to juggle work with play. The other being don't ever think snowboarding owes you anything. Just do it because it's the best thing in the entire world.
Thanks for joining us for this special preview. And now our feature presentation.
All right, let's get it.
We're back with another episode. We have the Egyptian, we got the mummy, we got the European MFM. Can I say that? I don't know. We got Kareem El Rafie on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. What up, dog?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Stoked to be here, man.
Yes, you're here again. Another time in Whistler.
Another time, man. Another time. Yeah, I just had such a good time last year. I was like, oh, I have to go back, man. This place is magical. Like, you just keep getting sucked into it. It's like you try to leave and forget about it, but it just somehow comes back to you, man.
Well, this place has been magical for you for a while because you used to come here a lot. You kind of took a break for a bit. You know, you grew up, kind of branched off from being the pro snowboarder you once were, started a business, and now you're back here on you work really hard so you can afford to take the break in the winter and enjoy what Whistler has to offer. I mean, first and foremost, where are you from for people that don't know?
Yeah, so I'm grown up in Stockholm, Sweden, and I have my dad's from Egypt and my mom's from Finland, but I was born in Stockholm and grew up there, and yeah, that's where I'm from.
I've always wanted to have an Egyptian friend.
Yeah,
when I met you 10 years ago, I was so hyped to be like, you're like, yeah, I'm on. Like, man, you have the most interesting dynamic. You're even the look to you, you know what I mean? You look Egyptian, Swedish, and like, it seems to me that there's a third that you don't ever talk about, that somebody in your bloodline's from Jamaica, like for sure. Like,
might be, man. I don't know.
you must be Rastafarian.
Feels sometimes like a little bit like that, man. Yeah.
I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way. So growing up in Sweden, you got into the boarding. At what age did you start snowboarding?
Yeah, I was pretty old, I think. Like, I don't remember exactly, but maybe like 12, 13, 14, something. Like, my parents didn't like really go to the mountains or anything, and like I didn't have access to snowboarding, and I started skateboarding a little bit, and then my school was doing like a school trip over the day to go boarding, and tried it once and just got sucked into it right away. Like, haven't been able to stop boarding ever since. Like, been pretty obsessed about it my whole life. Like, yeah, so I started like boarding in the local hills of Stockholm, and it's like little garbage hills that is like maybe like between 50 and 100 meters in altitude, and just super short runs, but a few jumps, and yeah, I just started boarding there, and started like watching snowboard movies, like old ones, like Technical Difficulties and Simple Pleasures and like TV5 and like all these movies.
TV5,
like,
so
yeah,
sick.
man, that was like when I started, and like I just watched those movies like every day, and I was like so stoked about it. And yeah, like I saw that you could do handrails and stuff like that, and like back in when I started boarding in Sweden, it was all about half pipe and stuff, and like the closest one was like 6 hours from where I was living, so it was really hard for me to do that. But then we saw these like movies with the people hitting rails, and we like realized that Stockholm was full of rails and stuff, and this was like before even they had park rails and stuff, so we just started like bro towing each other and like hitting street rails. And like,
when you say bro toe, do you mean holding onto your bro's hand as he slings you into the rail?
yeah, man,
Yes.
that's the bro tow. Like, you would push rec with one hand, and then you would like run and like tow your homie in, and like trying to point the little camera and like try to get shots and stuff, and like, yeah, that's how it all started.
So what was your first setup?
Wow, like I don't remember like the first board I got, I think it was a Nidecker or something. I found it like on sale, like super cheap, you know, like got that one. I don't remember what boots I had, probably like Northwave boots, like super soft and like not fitting at all, and like just pretty sketchy and loose, but I don't know. I got like super stoked on all the like baggy stees that rolled up in snowboarding.
Yeah, what was
like,
when you were, so you're watching all those videos, what was the first group of people? What's the first brands? Like what was the first crew, whatever, that you were just like, boom, I'm hyped on, like that made you obsessive over snowboarding?
I think it was like when the around Simple Pleasure era with like Devin Wash and JP Walker and like Jeremy Jones and like all these Forum Joni Malmi and
Forum
all these
8
Forum guys, you know, like when that came out, it was like something super new, and we're like, oh, that looks so cool, you know, like Nate Bozung doing backflips, like looking over the shoulder. I was like, wow, I want to do that shit too, man. Like.
And you were in the mecca for street rails. I mean, and then after that phase, I mean, it's like 20-something years of people going to Stockholm every year to film handrails because that's the mecca of rails. You know, there's snow and there's rails everywhere. And your little bros are slinging you in one-handed, filming you on the Digicam. So when did you start filming? You were 13, and then what, at like 15, you start filming?
Yeah, we started making these own little mini movies and stuff like that. I had a homie that used to make these movies, and yeah, we would just ride and set up spots and do it for fun. Like we thought it was sick, and like I don't know, I was like dreaming about like becoming a snowboard pro, or like not pro but being able to like travel, you know, and do all the stuff and go snowboarding. I saw like Whistler in the movies, I saw like Big Bear, like Mammoth, like all these places, and I was like, wow, I want to go to that place one day, you know. And then when I finished school, like I wanted to go to snowboarding school, but like my parents never really let me to do that when I was like 15, 16, so I didn't have good access to snowboarding. So I got to know some people that were going to snowboarding school, and that like really did good for me, because I could like go there, like work extra to make some money to go on the weekends and like crash my homie's couch and like snake the pass and just go like riding with good riders and get motivated and stuff like that, you know. So I did that until I finished like school, and then I moved to Norway and like I went to Oslo to make money. We like lived in like super grimy place, like 6 dudes on like 40 square meters with like shower and in the like kitchen and like toilet in the fucking hallway, like always super dark and dirty and cold.
You really painted the picture
like,
there.
Yeah, so it was like super sketchy, but you know, at that age you were like ready to do whatever you could to be able to snowboard, and that's when I went to Mammoth. Like we decided to go there for like
Mammoth was your first overseas trip?
Yeah, so we went to like right after we worked, made the money, and then we went to Cali and went to Mammoth, and there I met some girls that was going to Whistler, and I went with them like 1 week up to Whistler, and like I saw this place and I was like, wow. Like,
do you remember what time frame that would have been, like 05?
Ooh, yeah, probably around
15 years ago or so?
Probably around 15 years ago, yeah.
So you went to Mammoth and all the pink rails were just in your face, and you're like, it's just like the videos.
Yeah, it was just like the videos, and just like America, you know, it was like, wow, like it actually is in the movies. Like we made some friends with some like dudes that would like, you go to college parties and we'd go with them, and it would be like American Pie with like people with like red cups, and you had like the cheerleaders in one corner and the football jocks and then the nerds, and
you
like,
guys were the boarders.
Yeah, we were like, wow, this is like exactly in the movies. That was
American Pie was such a good plug.
Yeah, so that was like super rad to see. But yeah, after I came to Whistler first year, I was like, that's where I want to be. Like Canada felt more like home, but still like super, everything super huge and big, and trees
the scale
and a lot of snow
from Stockholm.
Yeah, so I started coming out here, and I really liked that, and made a lot of friends like Phil Thomas, and through him I met a lot of other people like Jody and Griff and E-Man, Derek, like Brocco, like this whole crew, you know, like
dude, it's, and that, so to take it back to the beginning here, when would have been your first time, like how did you get sponsored originally?
Yeah,
like,
so,
and what was your first sponsor? How did you make your demo tape?
Yeah, so like I was saying, we were just doing like spots with our like homies, and we would like film. So my friend made like a demo tape for me or whatever, And I went to this snowboard contest, and I remember like my dad was fighting a lot with me. It's like, oh, don't waste your life on snowboarding. Like you gotta like do something serious, you know. And I was like, I have to go to this contest. And like I was like, I don't know, like 16 or 17 or something. And it's like, if you leave, you're never coming home again. And I was like, oh, I have to go. And like I just left, and there I met like the new forum reps for Sweden, and I gave them my tape, and they were like super stoked, so they like hooked it up and made like a team with like 4 riders in Sweden, and like blew it up pretty good. And
You were on Forum when you were 17. That's incredible.
yeah, that was my first sponsor, like Forum.
So was it head to toe? Did you do Foursquare or did you do special blend?
I did special blend and got it that way, you know. And I was like,
Got it that way.
I was like, yeah, it was super cool to be on Forum and stuff. And like the year after was when I went to Mammoth, and I linked up with the Forum dudes in Cali, and like just to say hi. And like
Who would have been the guys you linked up with?
Well, it was at that time it was just the office dudes, like the team managers and like some people working there, like Dan McNamara and like some guy Jenner, I think it was his name, the old team manager. And just made a connection with them. And then that year, like after that year, they made the European Forum team, and like I got hooked up on the European Forum team, and we had a team week in like some of the glaciers in the summertime in the Alps. And Yoni and JP was there, and I was like telling them about Stockholm and how they should come and hit some rails there, and if there was good snow, and like they were pretty keen on it. And that winter was like probably one of the best snow years I've ever seen in Stockholm. Like it was like 30 centimeters throughout the whole winter for like 3-4 months, just like kept snowing, and it was like cold and super good. So the first crew that came out, I think it was Yoni, Ika, Malmi, and they came out for 1 week to hit some rails, and then they just saw how good it was, and like they called the other Forum dudes, and then everyone like from the whole team pretty much that was riding rails came out, and like I got to meet all my heroes, you know, and like go out with them and show them my spots, and like go filming with them. And like it was
what were you happy, like did you, when you met all these guys, did they exceed your expectations? Were there some of them you didn't get along with? Were there like some of them you're like, man, this guy is such a downer? Or like, was the whole crew like pretty open arms and like dope to you? And how did that all unfold?
I could definitely tell, like for me it was like first time filming like professional or whatever you say, because before I'd been filming just with my friends and stuff, and I could definitely see that there was another kind of pressure on people, and that people were like not competitive, but like everyone was super focused to get their stuff, you know. And for me it was just like I was just like super stoked to just hang out with everyone, you know. And like so in general, like everyone was super cool, but like sometimes it would be like weird when like if I would take them to like a spot and I would say like, hey, I want to do this trick on this rail, and then someone would like, no, I'm gonna do that trick, so you probably shouldn't do that. And that would be like, but I just took you here. It's like,
what? Yeah. Someone told you to not do that trick?
Yeah, it was kind of weird, man. So I was like not like super stoked on that, you know. But
who was it?
That was Eddie Wall. Sorry, man, but
no, it's good, dude. That's awesome. What was it? A front blunt 270?
Yeah, I was gonna do like a fakey pop, like tail slide 270 out, and he wanted to do it too, you know. So I was like, oh, I don't know, man. So I was like, just fuck it, like you guys do your thing, man. I went back to my girlfriend's place because I didn't see her for a while and just chilling, you know. So
needed to see your muchacha.
What's that?
Needed some muchacha time.
Yeah, muchacha time, man. That's important, you know.
You know, when you're riding with Eddie Wall, you know it's stressful.
Yeah, so I don't know. That was kind of weird, and like I don't know, like everyone was like pretty on, like just super focused, I guess, you know, all the time. But some guys were definitely more loose, like like Stevie Bell and like Travis Kennedy, and like Travis actually ended up staying for like 2 months, so like we just hung out all the time, man, and like did a bunch of like funny shit. Like, yeah, we had such good times, man. So like, definitely I connected better with a few guys than the other ones, but like everyone was super cool, you know, like.
And that was when you were filming that was your whole like breakthrough part. That was Forum that. I remember, I'm assuming that's what you were filming for, correct?
Yeah, like I was actually filming for this movie, Factor Films, called Over It, you know, and that was the main guy. I was filming a lot with him when I wasn't filming with Forum, you know. But yeah, like I actually had a pretty solid part that year. I had like 4 minutes of footage, you know, because I was pretty much hitting most of the spots like for 2-3 months with the guys, you know.
Damn.
So I had a lot of footage, but they didn't like first want to use it in the movie, and like I wasn't gonna be in the movie. But then kind of like JP Walker helped me out, and he was like, yeah, this guy like did good, and like was pushing for it. So I got like some shots there with Stevie in his part, you know. And
Dude, I remember that when that came out. We were all the El Rafie fans, dude. Those
Yeah,
the
man,
clips that you had in that movie were so stee and on point.
Yeah, thanks, man. Like, yeah, I was stoked on that, and like, I didn't really kind of maybe realize how that would affect everything, you know, to be in that movie. But yeah, it was good, man. After that, it was like, yeah, we got to travel and meet everyone and hang out, but it was like a little tricky because the year after that, they made this movie, First Chair, Last Call, and the Foursquare movie.
Yeah.
And like, a lot of things were happening during that time. Like, I think JP Walker left, and like Lowry, Ika eventually
Yeah, they all
left.
went to
Like,
DC.
Yeah, a lot of people left, you know, and like, so those movies weren't like really that proper. And like, that was just after I got like my first snowmobile and I got to be in Whistler, you know, and I was like so
You were
ready
ready
to hit backcountry. And like every morning I would call and they'd be like, nah, we'll just not go today. There's kind of a cloud on the sky, like kind of feeling. And I was so bummed because like that was like what I dreamed about, you know, to just go out there and hit some stuff, you know. So try to hit like link up with other crews, and like I was hanging out with the Sugar Shack guys. We were like super sick, and I got to go, and they were like super motivated. So it's like cool to be able to go out with them and stuff like that, you know.
And then when you came over here, you linked up with another guy who was riding for Forum at the time, Phil Thomas.
Oh yeah.
Is that how you were staying in Whistler, or were you staying with the Forum crew when you were here? Or did you come out by a truck and a sled, and then you and Phil, who were on the AM team, kind of, because Phil had a truck and a sled too. How did that? I don't really know how that all started.
Yeah, like I think like Phil did huge for me. Like, thank you, Phil. Like that was super sick that I met him, because I was pretty much just gonna go to Whistler, and like he was writing on some, maybe I don't like, was it what was the name of MySpace, or like some really old social media, you know,
MySpace.
like
There's definitely MySpace.
he wrote to me like, hey, like we talked about Whistler and that I was coming, and he was like, dude, you can like crash at my place, you know. And I was like, sick, man. Like, I never even met him at that point. And then I came there and like I stayed with him, and that was actually at Fabia's place, you know. Like, he had a room there, and I was staying under a table, like on a on a mattress there. And like through him I met like so many good people. Like I was saying before, I met you and like Derek and yeah, Ema, Brocklebanks, like who else was it? Griff,
The whole,
like,
the whole dope side of the people. But then you also met like, you know, Mark and Rusty.
Yeah,
and,
I was living with this Phil and Mark, and yeah, I met Rusty, met
Mikey Pedersen, like the whole Sandbox dope crew that like early or before dope, almost like more narcore phase.
Yeah,
even like when
exactly.
we were doing all like our Gypsy Mob stuff still.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like were. I mean, that was almost before that. Because the first time I ever met you was with Phil, and I remember you guys were both on Forum, and I was just like so mesmerized. And that was epic.
Yeah, that was really good times, man. Like we were talking today earlier when we were like living at your place there. When was it you and Phil that was sharing an apartment, or?
Me and Phil were sharing a place, a 1-bedroom, and we had you stay with us, the whole Gypsy Mob crew. And then we had your homie from Stockholm who was about to go to jail. So
Yeah,
he was, you know,
prison,
doing his
man.
one big hoorah hangout. He was on a spiritual journey when he was
Yeah,
staying
man.
with us.
Around the world trip, man.
And we had 10 of us in like a 600 square foot 1-bedroom apartment. And I don't think anybody was bummed. We were all just like, you know, excited. We were just like watch a snowboard video and then couldn't wait to go riding in the morning.
Yeah, exactly, man. We were just like, everyone would get like super baked and would be there like 10 dudes,
Yeah.
like little fish sticks like in a row, like after each other, like under the table, like next
French
to the
fries
bed,
and
like, yeah, we somehow we made it happen, man. But we had like good times every day. It was super sick. And
now I remember when you were coming up, you drove up and you had your car and your snowmobile, and you were coming from hanging out with Travis Kennedy. You were staying in with Mark Frank at the time, And I believe you hit is that when you hit that huge crater gap with Marco?
Yeah, that was that year when I was...
Because you were supposed to be on sound or something after the forum thing kind of unfolded.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of were doing I don't remember if you were doing Tech 9 boards, but you were doing sound.
Yeah. For me, it was like I wanted to be in Canada, so I was like I thought like what other Canadian brands is there and I started I talked to Johnson a little bit and he sent me a few boards, and I was hoping maybe I could film for Stepchild or something, and Marco hit me up because I met him along the road and he was like, dude, I'm starting this new outerwear brand, do you want to ride for it? And I was like, yeah, man, for sure. And he was I don't have much budget, but I could fly you out here and you could stay at my house and we could go and film together. And I was like, what?
I'm going to go and stay with Mark Frank.
Mark Frank Montoya wants me to come to his place. And I was like, yeah, let's get it, man. I was super stoked, man. But then when I got there, he got hurt just a few days before I arrived. And when I went on my first trip there too, I hit this sketchy jump with Johnny Paxton, man, and we both got super hurt, man. That's some of the sketchiest shit I've seen, man. It was like a roller and a pretty poppy jump, and then the landing was super steep, man, and we didn't know the speed, and he was speed checking it, and I was like, yeah, I don't think you should go faster than that. And he was like, okay, man. I was like, what are you gonna do, man? It's cab 3. I was like, okay, man, tough guy, let's go. Cab 3, man, let's see. And he
the hardest trick.
He just dropped in, man, and when he probably thought that he would be landing, it was when it was still going up, man, and it was really, really gnarly, man. It was he wasn't gonna come down, man. He just kept going towards space, man, and the landing was so steep, so it's I don't know, he was far up there, man. We're talking 30 meters, up in the air, man, and 20, 30 meters, I don't know. And
you had enough time to panic while he was still going up.
Oh, man, yeah, for sure. And he caught the last little meter of tranny there, man. If he didn't caught it, I don't know, man, but he landed on his back and it was super gnarly. And then it was my turn.
Kareem the Gibber from Stockholm about the biggest
exactly,
cheese wedge.
Man, all the Tech 9 crew is there watching, all right, man, I gotta step it up. And I did a back 7 and complete too much airtime, man, over-rotated 9 to my face.
Did it feel good for a second, or were you I don't have this?
No, I was oh no, I'm in the air, man.
That is the worst feeling when you leave a jump.
Man. And then I tried it again, landed it, and was kind of stoked, but the filmer wasn't stoked on it, so I was yeah, I'll just do it again, man. And I did it. I landed perfect, but then I hit a bomb hole and it was kind of hot pause. So I got slingshotted and got stuck with my knee and tore something in my knee. And that was the first jump I hit on the whole trip,
Oh.
I was super bummed. I don't know what I'm going to do now. And Marco was oh, stay positive, man. Drink this Monavi juice, man. And,
oh yeah, that pyramid shit.
So I kept staying with him, and Stevie Bell was hurt at the same year. So it was all the three of us hurt in that big house in Salt Lake, and it was super sick, man. We would just play ping pong and drink beers and hang out, and Marco would be scratching, and yeah, it was good times hanging out there. I went
the rehab facility at MFM's.
Yeah, man. And me and Stevie would go to these fun parties around in Salt Lake, and he knows some sketchy people, man, because one time we were in this really sketchy situation, man. We were in this party, and there was this one group of kind of Mexican drug dealers that was his homies, and then there was a group of jocks, kind of douchebags, and then some chicks, and these guys didn't get along, I guess, and these jocks run out and get out, man, and I'm not thinking about that. I'm just trying to play some Bob Marley on the stereo and
keep it mellow,
and then these guys come running down with a AK-47, and I didn't realize that it was a real gun. I was what are they doing with BB guns here, fucking dorks? And then they're start screaming and waving around the machine gun. And I was maybe this is pretty bad.
Holy shit, dude.
And Mitch, he was there too, and he was freaking out, what is going on? And Stevie was ice cold. He just walked up to the guys and just smacked the machine gun away. What the fuck are you guys doing here?
Oh, Stevie with some balls.
Yeah, and just fucking told them to run out and got in between while they were pointing the fucking machine gun, man. So I don't know.
Stevie with some heavy street cred there, dude.
He owes some heavy street cred for that, man. I was like, word, Stevie, like that's what's up.
Damn, homie. Dude, we gotta get Stevie Bell up on this shit.
Yeah, we gotta get Stevie on that shit, man. Like, yeah, he just got a kid back in Salt Lake now. I saw him in LA last year when I was on the same trip, man, and seems like he's doing good, man. Like,
Speaking of LA, you normally always have your hair in cornrows. Like, that's like your go-to, definitely. Tell us about your first time you got some rows down in LA. What, you bought someone's jersey and you went to Compton or something?
yeah, the first time we went to, like, it was a long story, but me and my homies, when we were going to Mammoth, like, we were just, like, super, like, naive, you know, like, America, happy land, you know, and, like, some fucking crackhead at the airport was like, hey guys, do you want to buy a car? And I was like, I don't know, guys, like, we shouldn't buy this car. And like, they're like, oh, let's look at it. And we're like, where is it? It's like, it's in Inglewood. It's kind of close. They're like, okay.
Inglewood? You're like, pretty sure I heard that on a Snoop Dogg track like 10 years ago. I think I should...
like, why Inglewood sounds nice. It's like, I know a place, man. They got a pool. We're like, all right. And like, went there and like, we're gonna like looked at the car. It was like some old like lowrider Oldsmobile, and like went with the guy to the DMV, and like he and the other guys, like the rest of us were the only white guys in the whole DMV, man. In Inglewood, it was like super sketchy. Like everyone looked like super gnarly, man. Like,
straight out of the movies, just like American Pie, but like
yeah, man. And while we were there, like some dude broke into our room and like stole some camera and some computer and shit, man.
Dang.
And like stole one of my Forum jerseys.
Oh shit, dude, not the Forum jersey. Dude, that got some resale value right now.
And then like when we were like leaving there, we see this guy that's like wearing that jersey. Like how many like ghetto kids like has like a Forum jersey?
No way, you saw the dude who jacked you.
I saw him, and like my homie, like the American dude like that we met there, was like went there and bought it back for like $10 from the guy. Like, I don't know, man. Yeah, it was crazy. Like the US can be like pretty gnarly in some places. Like I've traveled a lot, like probably like 50, 60 countries in like all the continents, and like in the US, like it's definitely some of the like places I've been like most like cautious, you know, like
yeah,
shit might go down.
Where did you get the rose? You were waiting. You get the DM. Did you end up buying that car?
Yeah. We bought the car.
Yo, this really sketchy dude meets us at the airport and he says like, "Oh, let's buy this car." You're like, nah, we good. And then before you know it, you're like, we have the car. I'm gonna get some rose. We're in Inglewood.
Yeah, exactly, man. Keep it G, man. Like, but yeah, we bought the car. We like didn't have room for all our shit, so we took like a towel on the roof and all the border bags around the windows and tied down the border bags and like tied down some like big like duffel bags on top of the trunk. And yeah, we made it through like the hills there, and then it broke down.
Did you get to Mammoth?
No, we didn't. So we took a bus to the wrong direction to Fresno to pass there, but the mountain pass was closed, and then we had to go to Reno, and it was like a 3-day trip. And like.
Well, when did you get the rose?
The rose we got, no, that wasn't the first trip. Then like after was when I bought the like Ford Explorer, you remember? Like,
yes. I remember the Ford Explorer.
Man, and like, yeah, I would always go to like Compton or Long Beach or somewhere where you could get rose, and like, like, yeah, it was sick, man. Like when I was around there, like everyone was like super friendly, and some chick was hitting on me and like invited me to go to some house party in Compton and stuff. And
did you go?
I really wanted to, but like the guys that I was living with, like this super nice couple, like family from Huntington, they were like, "No, you cannot go there. These people have guns and knives. You're gonna get killed. Like, didn't you get enough last time?" Like,
oh my God,
I don't know. Like,
and you're like, but she's really cute, you know.
Yeah, she was
what's wrong with an
like,
innocent conversation?
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with an innocent conversation.
Oh my God, I can't believe you made it out of there.
Yeah.
Was that one of the more sketchy situations, like leaving the DMV and packing up the car? And
yeah, like the whole experience was pretty rough. Like if you would go outside at night, like we went to cross the streets to buy some pizza, and people were like, yo, what's up with it? You want some crack? And like, you know, people trying to sell drugs everywhere, and like, I don't know. It kind of gets really dark somehow after dark. Like,
it gets even more dark, dude.
Yeah,
that's as real as it gets right there.
But yeah,
It'd be a tough world to get out of.
Yeah, like the States, I've seen a lot of contrast, man. Like, not to drop some names, but some people I've been hanging out there, man. I've seen some gnarly shit, man. Like drug deals and a lot of weapons and like big weed growing.
I love that you're not even there to be like to take part in the drug dealing or to take. You're like literally. You're like getting off at an airport, and then you're like, and then my homie's gonna pick me up, but he's got to make a quick pit stop. Yeah. And then on the pit stop, shit just goes down,
yeah,
and then you're at
some
Mammoth.
fucking alley in Reno with like some strippers selling like pills and blow and weapons everywhere. And like I don't know, like
you're in a Forum jersey, like I'm just trying to get the
snowboard, man, and like suddenly I'm there, like. Super high too, man, like not used to the weed and like I don't know, it's just yeah, a lot of contrast, man.
And then after you would always like, you know, you would go to Mammoth after your crazy excursion down there, and then would you be happy to be in Canada where things are a little bit mellower?
Yeah, I just like yeah, it just felt more real. Like more people are a little more laid back, a little more genuine, and like no really stress, man. Like what I really like about like the lifestyle, like in Whistler and stuff, is like people just like enjoy every day, kind of to the fullest. You're outdoors, snowboarding, doing stuff. Like it's just good times every day. Like,
well, yeah, it's like a group of privileged people that are, you know, utilizing the privileges they have. Unfortunately,
yeah,
you know, it is in comparison, like. You know, you bringing up Compton and stuff like that. Like, damn, those people don't have a lot of like mentors, and you know, you're a product of your environment.
For sure,
or what do they say? You're the average of your 5 best friends. I mean, if you're living in Compton, your 5 best friends, and they're all slanging.
Yeah,
and then there's your one homie who's trying to get an education.
Exactly.
Like you're probably going to be
kind of
slanging.
Become what you like surround yourself with. You know, Marco was preaching a lot about that. He did a lot of good coaching, like told me a lot of good stuff to think about, you know, and like he's experienced like it all, you know, and like you gotta
Like, dude, you were just this dude, and he's like, yo, stay on my couch, and you're on the other side of the phone like, damn, I'm staying at Mark Frank Montoya's place with Stevie Bell. This is sick.
Yeah, man, that was so sick, man. I was like, it's just like being a little kid, man. It's weird, like when you meet all these writers that like you look up to and you see in the movies, and then you like meet them and like hang out with them. It's like kind of surreal, you know. But yeah, I was super stoked to ride with him, man. Like he is a sick rider, like and I think kids like think that maybe that like some people like when they stop filming they like stop snowboarding or like stuff like that. But it's just life, you know, and industry and sponsors and all that shit comes in between, man. But like, dude, like that guy is so sick, man. And like, yeah, he had a pro career, but he thought like he wanted to go in another direction and do something else. And like, he was just thinking about that.
He had a huge career too.
Yeah, he went another way there, but like to see him ride, like he would just stomp everything like a fucking boss, man. Like just steel legs, man, go further and bigger than anyone, and just like boom, like just stomp.
Dude,
man.
he like filmed, and then he had his absinthe part, and then he kind of like disappeared a little bit for like a year, maybe a year and a half, and then he really started pushing the whole Tech 9 movement again, and then he filmed like a part for, I don't remember which one, like Cold World or something, and he does like a nose slide pop into like that huge dam bank.
Yeah.
And people have started hitting it year after year, people like front boarded and stuff, but when he did that board slide pop in, I was like, dude, this guy is insane. Like, to take a bunch of time off from the steel and just ride POW, and then to go hit the most buck steel spot in the entire world, and like his stilo, like burning bridges, cab 10 off the toes, no grab, like who are you, like what?
Exactly, where'd that come from, man? And then the next, like you just like do a big shifty.
Oh yeah, dude, like, I love that. In Back in Black, he has like 2. He has a straight air, and then he has like a back shifty.
Yeah, and
his back shifty, he's just like ollie, and then right at the apex of his air, he's just like back shifty, and then you see all the landing tracks go under him, and then he's still floating in the air. Open jacket, him and Cale Stevens, the only ones to rep that shit so hard.
Yeah, that's sick, man. Open jacket in powder is gangs, man. Cale Stevens, Mark Frank Montoya.
Yes, dude. Speaking of Cale, you're staying at Cale Stevens' place.
Yeah, I'm staying with Cale. Like after like that year with Sound and Stepshot, and like Sound never like happened after that year, and like actually that was sucked, like because all the shots that I filmed while I was there, while I was hurt, I was still filming. Like all those shots never got used in the Tech Nine movie. Like I was super bummed, like because I had some pretty cool shots, and like Cole Taylor just cut it out all, man. And like so I was supposed to have some shots with Mark in his part, man, and that would have been good for me, but like yeah, he didn't use it, and I didn't even get the shots from him because I wanted to use it in the Factor Films movie, and like I didn't even never saw the shots, man. Like
You should hit him up now. Just be like, yo, I know like it was more serious back then, but like, yo, can I have those clips? I was pretty hyped on that like back 7 I filmed. No? Cool. All right, whatever.
yeah, so it was weird, man, but like I got some B angles from Mark's homie that was staying with him, but yeah, that's probably when I hit one of the biggest jump I ever hit in my life, man. You're talking about the crater there, like
The crater jump.
dude,
I heard
like,
about this.
Bjorn Lyons was neighbors with Mark, and like he told us like he had to leave somewhere, and he built this jump for like a week or something, like many days, like big jump. And you know, Bjorn Lyons is a sender, you know, so it's like, ooh, we're gonna go there, like okay, well, let's go and check it. And like it was so big, like it was just the takeoff was like really really high but not super wide, and like it was over this big hole, like this big crater, like when you were like and the in-run
So
was
it
kinda
wasn't a
sketchy.
spot at all, and then Bjorn Linus shoveled for a week and made it a spot.
Exactly, he just made a spot, like it's just a big, like yeah, I don't know, man. And it was sketchy too because the in-run was like super sketchy. You had to go so fast and you couldn't speed check. Like I tried to speed one time, like going semi-fast, and like I almost flew off the kicker and like into the hole. Like it was so bad, I like fucked up the kicker, and I was like, oh, sorry, you know. And it was like me, Mark Frank, and Dylan Thompson that was gonna hit it. And Dylan, I could see, like, he's a crazy guy, but I could see that he was nervous, man. Like, he hit it like 2 times and like didn't get over so well, and he was like not feeling it. And then Mark did like a frontside 180 and a front 3. And I was like, whoa, like that was sick. So I was like, I gotta do something. So I was like, I'll do a back 1, man. And like that was the biggest back 1 I ever done in my life, man. Like just like floating, man, like flying. And it wasn't like powder either. It was kind of like half semi-sketchy, like spring snow and stuff. But somehow, yeah, I just landed it and like boom, rode away. And I was like, yeah, like so stoked, you know. And like then like Cole Taylor was like, you kind of flailed a little bit with your arm. And I was like, but I'm going like over 100 Ks, man. Like, it's like
I'm going 100 kilometers an hour over a crater.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm up there in the air. Like, so I was like, oh, fuck it. Like I'll do it again. And then I like completely ended myself. And like, that would be like many times I would like get shots and feel good about it. And I would get like pressured into like, they were like not good enough, and then I would like try to do it bigger, and I would just die, you know. And like
That's what we were talking about today, like being happy with like not trying to please other people and do you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know
like,
what? You might have done a hand flail that he thought was whack, but there's a lot of times people have filmed huge back 180s and have had huge flails, and they're absolutely epic.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter about the flail. Sometimes the flail adds flavor, dude.
Exactly, man. To me, that's the beauty about snowboarding. Snowboarding is an art, man. Like it's not a sport. It's not like for me, it isn't like snowboarding is different for everyone. But like for me, snowboarding isn't so much about like competing or being the best or doing the hardest tricks. It's like every trick there is epic. You can do every trick in an epic way. Like it's beautiful. It's art. Like just a 180 or like a tweak or like a shifty or like a whatever, you know. Like you don't need to rotate like to the moon or like try to spin the wind. Like you're not gonna win, man. It's just gonna fucking look crazy. Like I don't know. It's just like I don't want to be a stunt guy. I want to be an artist, man. Like I want to like soulboard and like do snowboarding in my way. And like, you know, that's what I like seeing, like when people develop their own style and their own way of snowboarding. Like it's super cool to be influenced by other people and like take a little here and there, you know, but you just got to find your own way to board, man. And like that's just the way it is to me, man. Like these OGs from Sweden, like Ingmar Backman, like the guy who did biggest like air
Method.
back in the days, man. Like he once said, like any rotation over 360 is just repeating yourself, you know, like it's
He
just,
quote said that?
he
Like,
said
that's a-
that,
oh
man.
my
Like,
God,
it's just
I'm-
another
that's the
360
most
or
beautiful-
another 180. you
Your
know, like-
speech there, that was the best thing that has been said on the podcast. It could go back to like snowboarding starting off at ollies again, and people could film a half part with just ollies, and I'd be happy if they did it good. Like I was on the phone today with my homie Jake Kuzik, and he was just telling me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't really have like a lot of tricks right now in my bag, but I have a bunch of ollies that are like really cool into like dope shit." And I'm like, dude, that's all you got to do.
That's cool, man.
That's the dopest,
awesome,
dude.
like-
Look at Mikey LeBlanc did for 2 years. He ollied off shit, and it was the best.
Exactly, man. Just like, and that's the cool thing about.
And nobody ollies this, like, you know, look at Justin Benny's ollie, and then look at Mikey LeBlanc's ollie, and then look at Andy Forgash's ollie, and then look at, you know, Sebe DeBuck's ollie, and then look at your ollie. Everybody does them different.
Exactly.
You
man.
don't need to do a 1260 to stand out. I mean, you can do that to win the contest, but as far as standing out goes, you know, work on your ollies.
Yeah, man. And don't forget the nollies.
There's not enough knowledge, dude. Fakies are. That we were talking about that the other day. The nollies are, you know, people implement those every once in a while in the park, but you don't see people do like fakie switch nose press or fakie back 5-0 or like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the fakie is limited. You opened the fakie for a while down there. That one fakie you have into the wall, which I will definitely use with your little edit. Whew. That one fake they did a few years ago, like you're like fakie shifty into the wall, like
fake a
redirect
shifty
or
wall
whatever.
ride and like nollie back wall ride and stuff like that, man. It's like that's like skateboarding, man. Like I was never good enough on skateboarding, so I could do like big nollies or fakey ollies, but like on snowboard I can. So I try to do them, man. It makes me feel good, man. Like yeah, that's the thing, man. Like you just gotta find your way in snowboarding and do what you like and like keep it that way. Like I don't know, it's just weird these days when there's so much competition and like gymnastics and like pressure and I don't know. It's just.
Did you
like,
see the Wendy's Huck Jam off the knuckle?
No, I didn't really watch much X Games.
Oh my god, it was just like posted so much, and it's like a knuckle, and it says Wendy's in the background. It's presented by like Wendy's, and it's like, you know, and then you can see in the background like sponsored by like the U.S. Navy and like all this stuff, and then people are just flipping off of this knuckle. But like, you know, to me, a shot or like something that's filmed, you know, with like aesthetics, like, you know, a nice background and the filming's like, you know, done tastefully all the way down to the outfit, it makes a clip. At least stuff that I even want to watch on my phone. When like the people aren't dressed tastefully and then the background of the shot isn't looking tastefully, and you incorporate all these things and then the trick is just crazy, to me it's just like, it's hard for me to care at all.
Yeah, it's not what I was doing when I started snowboarding or than I wanted to do.
It's
like,
not that I
thinking
don't
about,
care. It's just like I just have a way bigger appreciation for, I don't know, like a video clip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get the Instagrams, you know, like if you're riding the park, like for sure. I would rather watch a park clip at Bear Mountain that doesn't have logos everywhere and banners than any recap in the X Games.
Yeah.
It's impressive, but it's like my least favorite thing to watch is X Games. I get it. Do it for the money. Do it for the clout so you can, you know, get big sponsors and stuff like that. But it's the least impressive part in snowboarding is like contest footage to watch.
I just don't see any soul in it, man. That's like, where's the soul, man? Like, you know, you can't do a backside 180 on X Games and like think you can win, man. Even if it's the best backside 180 you ever seen, man. But it's just like you have to be upside down like a certain amount of times, and it's like, why, man? Like,
I understand why, because it's a competition.
Yeah,
So
I
therefore,
guess,
it's
like,
about like,
yeah.
and I love when riders fuck up, and then they're all so good, all the contest riders, or most of them. You know, some of
They're
them still have bad
incredible,
style,
man. Like,
but
yeah.
like some of them fuck up, and then they ride through the run, and the last jump they just do a front 3 Indy, and I'm like, that was my favorite thing I've watched today.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, I guess I just never been a competition rider. Like I always been about filming and like art and like the feeling, you know, and all that. But then I did my own contest, you know, because like I don't know.
Dude, that's a big thing we can talk about. You held a contest for a long time, the Frontline Rail Jam.
Yeah,
Which is another business that you started, you know, roughly around the time that you started Form. You started a clothing company called Frontline.
Yeah.
And you had a rail jam in downtown Stockholm for a number of years. Huge Eman Anderson came out to
Yeah,
it. Heldor and
McClatchy was
Aki
there.
Elgeson were always
Yeah.
filming in there. And that's another big side is, you know, you were a huge part in the snowboard community where you grew up, and you gave back to a lot of kids. And I mean, like, even Heldor and Aki, like, you were, I would say, a little part in those dudes, reaching. Obviously, they were both going to reach whatever they were going to reach because they're incredible. But, like, you helped out a lot of local kids by giving them, like, spotlight with the Frontline Rail Jam, sponsoring a lot of kids that were new.
Yeah, like, a lot of the riders, like, from Frontline Rail Jam got their first sponsors there and stuff. Like, I think Haldor maybe got hooked up with DC after the Rail Jam. Like, Aki was a little bit on Rome, but, like, things really started happening for him also, like, after the Rail Jam. And, like, many riders, like, blew up, like, maybe a little bit because of that, But for me, the Rail Jam wasn't, like, since I wasn't, like, super into competitions, I was like, I just want to make the nicest event. I just want to like bring all my homies and like get some of the best riders from around the world come together and have a good time. So I was like, I'll like, since I like street rails and like real rails, like I've always been a little scared of park rails and stuff, but like I ride like real rails, and we had these perfect stairs in like Stockholm, and I was like dude, we should just set up rails here. And like with some other friends we did it, and like first edition was like super sketchy with like a really sketchy drop in and everything, and like we found out a week before that we could do it, and like it was just like super low key. But like since it's like the most central square of Stockholm, there was so many people there, and we were like, wow, like we should maybe do something out of this. And then like we started doing it, and like every year we got more sponsorship, more bigger budget, like be able to do more stuff. And like from there it grew, and we did actually like 11 ones, like 11 years.
I watched a bunch of them live. And you had cash at the bottom you were giving out to people, and it was the one event they always say this, like, oh, like showcase your style, but it's always like whoever does the craziest spin wins like the most amount of stuff. Like there was a lot of times I saw you dishing out cash to people doing like super steezy like nollie board slide, or like, exactly, a fakey switch front board and just like really good stee. But then the guy after would do like a hard way cab 270, and the flavor wouldn't be there, and there'd just be like no dough for him.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like that's so we have these judges, that like chooses from both heats. So we have 2 heats, and then you get like certain amount of riders from both heat in the finals. And in the finals I just have like mad cash, man. Like I have so much cash in my pocket, and every time I see something I like, I just give out some money, man.
And you are like the best person to see. Like I really I think that we jive on the same clips. Like I'm sure if we watched a snowboard video, we would like all the exact same clips. Yeah. So therefore, to you and me, in our own little, skewed vision, we're giving the people. I don't know why I included myself there. You're giving the right people the right cash.
Yeah, that's that. I do it my way, and then we have the judges that like chooses the best overall rider, like winner and second, and like, but it's fun too. Like it's pretty loose, like the judges being like, yeah, we have 2 kind of winners and 2 kind of seconds. Like I was like, all right, let's split it, man. Like it's more for everyone, Like
yes,
that's
dude.
how I like it, man. Like everyone can get some, Like it's better than just like one guy takes it all. I don't know. It's just
that's
like
awesome.
Feels more like, so the setup, the rails are super low. The rails are like, the stairs are pretty safe. So it's like, it's actually really, really fun to ride it. And that's why you kind of can tell that people are like sending it, like,
yeah,
because they're comfortable and they're having a good time, and it doesn't feel like deadly, like so many competitions.
Or the back 180 over the crater.
What's that?
The back 180 over the crater, deadly.
Back 180 over the crater, man. Maybe you don't want to do it, man, but you have to.
I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
But you're on sound and the whole Tech9 crew's there.
Yeah, you got to get up, man. You got to step up your shit, man.
Sometimes you have to send it.
Yeah, sometimes you have to send it, and it's fun to send it, man. But like what I've learned through snowboarding is like it's not worth to like risk your life in shitty conditions. Sometimes you can send it on some feature that's huge, but like it's just like there's a big chance you might not die, but when the chance is like if I go too much to the right, or if I have too little speed, like I'm dead kind of thing. Like it's just not.
Yeah, that's where you draw the line,
man. Like I just when you were younger, you were like, it would be nice to do that, man. But like now I like to push myself, but I like to push myself when the conditions are good,
Exactly.
And if it's really shitty, just like go.
Well, knowing when to send it is like the the best
Yeah,
takeaway from snowboarding ever. Like if you're younger and you're listening to this, like knowing when to not send it and when to send it is key. Like every once in a while you'll be feeling it.
Yeah.
You'll be, about to tee up a lip slide on the triple kink. You'll be trying your first like switchback 9, whatever. But like you're feeling it and the conditions are right and the jive's there, like go for it. But there's some times where like you're like, okay, the photographer never showed, the camera battery might die. I'm not really feeling this thing. There's a bunch of weird holes in the landing. There's that spike to miss. Like maybe it's not the time to send it.
Exactly. And you gotta just be strong and believe in yourself and like not let the pressure get you, because like if it is sketchy and you're already like a little hesitating, and then you're just like, oh, I just want to do it, and you do it, there's a big chance you might like really hurt yourself. And
sounds like a relationship,
Yeah, I think like pro snowboarding is about like being able to find your limit when you're like always just a little bit above your limit, but not hurting yourself. You know what I mean? Because if you hurt yourself, then you're out, and then you like it's the worst. You're to be on the couch in the winter, everyone else is boarding, you're seeing all this snowboarding. Like there's like there's not much that is worth it. But if the conditions are good, you're feeling it, like you're stoked, like you send it. Like if you hurt yourself in a moment like that, you're gonna be like, all right, but I did my best. Whatever.
Exactly. I'm never mad at myself when I like even the other day we were hitting this jump. And I like overshot it and bailed, but there wasn't like any of those like direct signs. Like I was like, okay, the landing is good. The landing is soft. There's no bomb holes. I know the speed because somebody went in front of me. And well, I didn't know the speed because I ended up just going faster than them. But like the long and the short was that like, yeah, dude, when you're out there, you just got to have full confidence. You got to know that you got it. And you got to know when the landing's shitty and they clouded over that it's not the time to send it, and there's way too many people get hurt when it's not the right time to send it.
Yeah.
You know what? There's nothing worse than like everybody who's, like there's a film crew, there's 6 of you, there's the one last dude that's going to go again, and 5 of you are in the landing, and all you guys are like, I don't really know if he should hit this again. The Jenny just died. And he's like, I need the clip anyway. And you're like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it, man. Like, for sure, I think like not many times I've been injured has been like when I've been really feeling it and like really going for it. Like it's been more like when you're like not on point 100% or you're not like
mental game needs to be is
you're
huge.
Not, like super focused, because when you're really doing something deadly and you really commit, like normally like you land it or you get away with it because you like convince yourself and you see yourself doing it and you're like, I'm gonna stop this trick, and you do it. And you're so focused that if something goes wrong, you're like ready to like, save yourself or stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, you go into flow state. It's so true. Like Razman talked about that on the podcast, but it's true. Like you do, when you're doing something gnarly, but your ability level is like, John actually talks about this too, is like when you do something for so long, like you do like front threes, and eventually like every year you're doing it on a bigger jump and a bigger jump and you're not being a sender. You're just getting more and more calculated. Eventually, like you get to a point where doing an 80-foot front 3 isn't gnarly anymore because you're good enough to do that easily. But if there's variables like bomb holes and like the light's not good and the takeoff's kind of weird and the in-run's not right, it's like that's when it's time to like, check yourself, because it's not really yourself that's going to make the screw up. It's the other variables that are out of your control.
Exactly, like you hopefully have a long life to live, and if you love snowboarding like we do, like you want to be out there boarding for life, and like I've seen like one little mistake like can end it all, like I have friends like that are like paralyzed or like like they can't walk, and like imagine that, like thinking about that the rest of your life, like fuck, maybe I shouldn't have hit that jump, it wasn't that good, like
Yeah, totally, dude. And there's I have some friends that have had some shitty outcomes too from like certain things, and that's sometimes it's tough because you know what I mean. Sometimes you just get all fired up because you're in the moment, or for example, like you said, there's a group of people who have expectations of you that are like either watching. Like Super Park's a really crazy one. Going to that back in the day was crazy for me because it's literally like every pro ever, and it's like, all right, it's your time to prove yourself in front of the whole entire industry, like right now. And you're like, and you're like, I don't really feel like sending it. And you're
Yeah.
like meeting people for the first time, and E-Stone's on the knuckle, and he's the like in with Tech 9, and I rode for Tech 9. So it's like, oh, of course I'm going to hit the jump because he's on the knuckle. But it's like, I don't know the speed and stuff like that. Thank God that I just did it. And as my friend Griffin would always say, he would always say, before you go into a jump, tell yourself you're not a sketch. He'd always like tell me that when we were at Super Park. I always liked that piece of advice. Whenever he was like, or anyone who's listening to this podcast and take that away, to be honest, they're like, you can take away that like, I'm not a sketch right when you're going into something. Like, it just makes you like, you know, go into something like, I'm not a sketch. Like, why am I going to screw this up? Like, I've done 100 back threes. I'm Kareem. I fakie off things all the time. Why would I fakie and tink? I know exactly when to hold, to do the shifty, to do the switch front board. Like, as soon as you go into something like, do I have this? Not a good thing. Like, you don't want to go into something being like, do I have this? It's a bad feeling.
Definitely. No, you gotta be confident. You gotta picture like trick you're gonna do or whatever, you know, before. So you just like do it. You know, there's not like, that's why people always ask me about helmets. Like, why don't you ride with a helmet? You're an idiot because you don't ride with a helmet. But it's like, I don't wear a helmet because I don't plan to hit my head. Like, no, but
that's a gray area.
You know, like, I don't know. It's like, I never plan to hit my head. So I don't want to wear a helmet because it's like, if I wear a helmet, it's like, all right, I'm ready to hit my head now. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I think it's really good to ride with helmets, and I should be riding with a helmet and maybe like a back protector and wrist guards and like knee pads. Like, you can go far with that, but it's like, snowboarding is like a freedom thing, man. It's just loose, man. You're just like cruising and like, I don't know. It's just
I don't want to say I disagree with you there, but I mean, like, I don't wear one either, but I do wear like a mouth guard when I'm in the backcountry, just for like the whiplash because of the ragdolls and stuff. But like,
what is that?
A mouth guard?
Like for your teeth?
Yeah, it's for your teeth, but it's like there's some studies that like show that it's like more of a preventative against concussion, as long as you're like, well, obviously you don't want to like hit a rock or something.
Yeah.
But if I started riding like lines like Jeremy Jones and Xavier Delarue, where there's exposure everywhere, of course. But like, I'm riding powder fields, and like, I'm not flying towards like rocks with my head.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, knock on wood and just keep playing.
Knock on wood for sure, you know, like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just more the freedom feeling of snowboarding, you know. It is dangerous, it is fast, it is loose, you know.
I think that this one's just gonna put us into a hole. There's somebody listening to this that's like, you know, like a doctor, and they're like, you guys are insane.
Yeah, I was actually on this TV show with Haldor and Johannes, you know, like, and they were like on national television in Sweden. They're like, so what kind of insurance do you guys have? We're like, we don't really have insurances. Like, they're like, but you wear helmets, right? We're like, no. It's like
Speaking of Heldor, I'll never forget the first time I met him. I met you the year previous, and you kept saying, "Oh, Kareem brought some Swedish chocolate," and he's just cracking into it right
sorry.
now. No worries, dude. Enjoy. You brought it all the way from Sweden. It's better than our chocolate. We know it is. You guys make all your stuff all natural and stuff. But anyways, the year before I met Heldor, you were like raving about him. You're like, this kid Heldor, man, he's the best boarder ever. He's so sick. He's got style. He's got all those tricks. And you're like, and his brother Aki, and I was like, oh, sick. And you're like, they're both on Frontline, and I was like, that's so sick. But like, you know, didn't really ever hear much about them. The year after, you brought them to Whistler, and Heldor stayed under our coach. I remember he didn't talk much, and he just like, all he did, he came back from the grocery store. He had like a 2-4 of Coca-Cola, a bunch of candy, and he just like super shy, living under the couch. And then you showed me all of his footage. And it was before he got on DC, and I was like, holy shit, dude, Heldor is insane. You're like, I told you, man, this kid is so good. And he was hitting that wooden kink, that really classic one. Is that one in Iceland? That,
it's in Iceland.
Yeah, and him and Heikki have like every trick in the world on that thing.
Yeah, but these guys were like super sick. Like, I met them because they were through snowboarding school, and like, I just heard like from the younger kids, like, yeah, there's some really, really good Icelandic riders, you know, and like, I was like, cool. And I was doing the rail jam, so I invited Aki to hit the rail jam, and like, I saw him ride, and I was like, whoa, like, what is this guy doing, you know? And like, and then through him, I met Haldor, and then I went like riding with him, and I saw like some footage of him, and I was like, these guys are unbelievable, you know. And what was cool with these guys was that they kind of like grew up in Iceland, where there was like not really a strong scene before them. No one was like really that good at snowboarding, but they would like watch snowboard movies, and they would think like, all right, this is what you do. Like you get out in the streets and you do like you backlip this rail, like and that's what you do, and like that's what they did. And like they were just like kind of isolated on their little island with 300,000
being
people.
Naive made them that good. They were just like, oh, that's just how good you have to be.
And like they just did it. And then when they started riding with other people, like these guys were like so obsessed with snowboarding. Like they would not drink, they would not party, they would just like snowboard all the time, every day, like all the time, you know, like. And that would be like, I was like, wow, these guys are first of all like super fun to ride with, and like, wow, these guys are sick, you know.
Yeah.
And I could see like these guys are gonna go far, you know. And like, yeah, they did the rail jams and they got sponsors, and like they started filming, and I filmed with both of them for this Factor Films movie, and like really love those brothers, like to hang out with them, and like, yeah, it's cool, man. Especially like with Haldor, is like one of the what I really like about his riding is that you can tell that he's having fun, you know, like
everybody. It's so transparent.
Yeah, it's like, and that's like you're like stoked, man. Like it's not out working, just like checking like.
And when he rides contest, dude, it looks like he's having the time. It doesn't look like when he gets to the end of a slopestyle course that he was like, that was stressful and I put pressure on myself. He was like, whether he did good or bad, it just seemed like he had the time of his life.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely like top 3 of my favorite snowboarders of all time. Like I'd say also like Mark Frank and probably like E-Man. Like these 3 guys are like
Haldor, Mark Frank, and E-Man.
Yeah, Haldor, Mark Frank, and E-Man. Like these guys are like
that's a good
I'd say like the best 3 snowboarders, like my favorite 3 snowboarders.
Those are good picks, dude.
Yeah.
Who's somebody? Is there any new kid that's on the map right now, or newer? Like obviously those guys are from more of a time of like, you know, us. But like, is there any new kids right now that are like has caught your eye? Like that kid's sick, like a European, whatever. Like
I don't know. Like for me, it was like I had these 2 kids I was riding with a lot, like 3 kids I was riding a lot in Stockholm with. It was like Leo Crawford, Felix Engström, and Jonathan Linde. And like I think these 3 guys was like. I wouldn't say apprenticeships, like apprentices, but like they was like a little younger than me, but like I was filming and I would like try to like, you know, go with them, and like we would snowboard together, and like super good riders, these 3 guys. Like I mean, they're not super young anymore, like they're around 30 soon, like all of them, you know, but yeah, they're super good riders.
I remember Leo, when me and Griff went to Stockholm and we linked up with you when we were all doing the Endeavor thing. We went there and you were like, yo, my homie Leo is gonna link up with us, and he was like a child.
Yeah.
And he like helped shovel the spots and stuff, and didn't really. I think he tried to like lip slide that one down rail, but maybe he even got hurt. And then he was just like the hypest homie, and I've always kind of me and him every once in a while, like, you know, we follow each other. And whenever I get like a Leo, like I'm like, damn.
Yeah, like Leo and me, I got him on the same sponsors as me, like Endeavor and Colorwear at the time, and so we could like film together, and we'd film with Norman, like maybe you remember Norman.
Oh, I remember Norman.
Like, yeah, Norman.
Like, yes.
So he came out and like one season here with the sled too, but me and Leo did a lot of filming together, and like we rode a lot of spots. We were probably one of the first guys to ride a lot of the spots in Stockholm, and he was super good to ride with, like super rad guy, and like really talented guy, man. Like he was doing like gnarly stuff, like backlipping for like quadruple kinks, and like you know,
getting
like,
after it, dude.
Like going after it, like really good switch, like fakey ollie nose press and like stuff like that, like proper, man, like super sick. So that would be like the crew I grew up with, like, or not grew up with, but like been riding with a lot.
The younger generation. That's,
and I still
that's
bored with, like, these guys are super sick, but yeah.
But now you've created this really kind of awesome life, you know what I mean? You started a food truck to make enough money so you can snowboard during the winter. You come to Whistler now, you have 2 months off, you're just going to shred, ride POW, live at Cale Stevens' house, you have a sled rental, you're out there cruising big lines right now, just enjoying the blower POW top to bottom. You're riding, you know, what's that crazy run you've been riding? What's it called?
Yeah, the Megalodon.
Megalodon every day with Chris Brown and Cale Stevens,
yeah,
like
man.
Just getting it. I mean, you've really went from being like, you know, the eager young kid, you know, on forum to forum, you know, and then doing the re-up thing with sound and MFM, and then, you know, growing into an adult. And now you start this business that'll generate enough money so you can enjoy, you know, the fruits of your labor and snowboard. And not only do you do that, it seems like you do a lot of traveling, like down south to South America, and like, you know, learning a little bit more about how food's made and stuff like that, so you can have the best burrito truck in all Sweden.
Yeah, man, pretty much. Like, I like when you're a pro snowboarder, like, it puts a lot of stress on you, you know, and it kind of kills snowboarding. Or like you have to be strong mentally to not let it get to you, because in a kind of in an individual sport. So like, if you like get a sick trick, like you're on top of the world. Like, but if you like don't get it, or you get hurt or something, or you don't have a good season, you're like stressing out all the time and pressuring yourself, and like it kind of takes away a lot of snowboarding. Like I would even discover, like at the time at Forum, like some of the guys would just not go to the park. They would be in Whistler and they would just like not be in the park. They would just chill or do other stuff, and then when it was good, we'd go out and film and sled and stuff like that. But I couldn't really never understand that, because like I love snowboarding, and like that's what I did. Like in the beginning, I would like get video, like get my rail shots in Stockholm and like make that safe. So I would have like whatever pays the bills and like have a video part. And then I would go to Whistler and just soulboard, you know, just do it for the soul and hang out with you, man.
Yes,
and like
dude.
Derek and E-Man and Griff, and we just like get baked and like cruise the hill, man. And like, you know, just not even be in the park. I would have the best of times just riding hit runs. And I'm like, what is this? Like natural snowboard park? Like, yes, like let's do this, man. And like, do that. But yeah, then I'd like snowboarding, like I don't know, it was just like more work, less of the kind of snowboarding I wanted to do, and like pressure and injuries. I hurt my shoulder pretty bad, and like that was probably when I filmed the last video part yet.
Yes.
But I was out for like a year or two. I couldn't really snowboard and stuff, so I was like went to South America, traveled there, and met a guy in Mexico that like helped me get back some surfboards, these sketchy that I tried to steal. And yeah, long story short, I started a food truck in Stockholm, and it kind of worked out pretty good for me, because it's pretty cold in the winter, so there's no business really. So I could like work really hard in the summertime, do my own thing, and then like get time off in the winter. And like, I mean, the first year was pretty hard, you know, to like building business is not easy, you know. If you don't make enough money in the company, you're the last one getting paid, so everyone else gets paid, and if there's not any money, you're not getting paid, man. That's how it works.
Holy shit, that's a harsh reality.
I had to like side hustle and do shit, but like get it together. But now after 3 years, it started like growing, and I got on a second food truck, and this year I'm opening a restaurant in the summer, like a pop-up restaurant downtown Stockholm, and maybe even doing the Rail Jam actually. So there's like 2020 could be a pretty big year, but right now I'm just living hippie life in Whistler.
I love it, dude.
Surfing, man. So
dude, that's like, eventually, I've said this before and I'll say it again, we're all gonna die. And I mean, you do need to find a balance of like work and play. Obviously, You need to work because, I mean, dude, you're going to get old one day. You're going to need to pay bills. You're going to have to take care of your mom. People are going to get sick. You're going to want to go to people's weddings and funerals. And you just need money.
Unfortunately, you need money.
But like, you got to get the play in there. And you're finding the yin and the yang. And I mean, like, even for me, it's been like really inspiring to see like, you know, you go disappear for 3-4 years, not come back to Whistler. And for me, like most people who come to Whistler, it's a come and go town. You almost don't feel like you're going to see that person again. No. And then boom, like, dude, snowboarding's been your life forever. You start this business, you grind it out, you get the business off the ground, and now it starts doing well enough that you can afford to come here and enjoy like real snowboarding for nobody but yourself.
Exactly. That's kind of like snowboarding is the best it's ever been right now. It's like, you know, like I can still board, I can still do a bunch of tricks, I can still jump off cliffs, and like I'm fortunate to be in like good condition to do that, you know, but I have no pressure. Every day I go boarding, I do it for myself because I want to, because it gives me joy and like it makes me happy, you know. So it's like actually since I quit pro snowboarding, like it's just been better and better and better. which is kind of a problem because at some point I guess I should grow up, you know, but I'm
Never.
still here in Whistler, man, like couch cruising and like snowboarding and I don't know. Just
Going
like
to South
hanging out.
America and, you know, trying cactuses and stuff, whatever you're into.
You got to try the cactus, man. San Pedro.
What's that?
San Pedro is like a South American medicine. It's like a psychedelic cactus. Like normally people would say like mescaline, and it sounds pretty gnarly, but it's not. It's like kind of like shrooms,
It's not.
but like super spiritual, man.
You're a really spiritual person, I'd
Yeah,
say.
I try to, you know, like I don't know, I just so many people are like stuck in the what we call it in Sweden, the hamster wheel, when just like living on routine, and like you would meet a person you haven't seen for a year and like, hey, what's up? What have you been doing? And it's like, yeah, you know, same old, and like nothing really happened, you know. It's like when I'd be traveling like 3-4 months, I would go away and come back and like, yeah, that was what happened home, like. You
Nothing.
know, like, nothing really.
And you're
you know,
like, dude, I was in Compton. I was at Mount Cain. I was at
Exactly.
Cadel Stevens' basement with Brockle. I was in South America. I tried
Exactly.
some cactus. You've seen the world.
Yeah, man, you got to see the world. I mean, I always loved traveling, and that's what really gave me joy with snowboarding. I got able to like travel the world through snowboarding, like even go to places like New Zealand and Australia and do a little layover in Bali. And
It's
like,
healthy
you know,
for
like-
the planet to want to go and explore the world, to see that most people around the whole world want the same thing. You know, they want to be healthy. They want to take care of their family, their loved ones, and like it could just bring more peace to the world if people didn't have all these animosities built on these like, you know, assumptions built by like the news. And I feel like people who travel get to see that the world as a whole is almost better than I think the media makes it out to be.
Yeah,
Obviously,
like, media
you know,
sucks, man. They always like highlight the worst and makes you scared and like, ooh, these people are shooting.
like
each
you
other,
said, you were
and
going to
it's, like,
Compton, and it
scary.
wasn't even that bad.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Like, I really been in some super sketchy places around the world, man. But I always keep low profile, a good attitude, and like, you know, just like look humble, man. And like, knock on wood, like it's been good, man. Like I've been in fucking favelas in Rio, and like been in like sketchy parts of Mexico City, and like different places, you know, like Colombia, Medellin, and like, you know, like really sketchy places. But like if you don't look like you're, you know, some people attract trouble, you know, trouble attracts trouble. But I think like if you're humble, you attract other humble people. And if people don't see that they can like rob you for something, or they can't gain anything to fuck with you, they're not gonna do
There's
it.
a
Why
big
would
thing
they,
about
you know,
like it's funny when I see people. One crazy thing is in Whistler, people party differently, and then they leave Whistler and they go party somewhere else, and they think that the way they party here is acceptable everywhere else. But like, you can't just go and rage and jump around on chairs and
Oh, no.
spill your beer on people.
Oh, no.
Like sometimes, like, yeah. Anyways, like I think about some of that. Sometimes I've been like, whoa, like you should come visit me in Winnipeg. I'm like, wait, this wouldn't end well. Like you don't really know how to do life outside of your little bubble.
Yeah.
And it's like really important that when you go into those other cultures that you not only appreciate their culture, but you know how to like, you know, just tone down, you know what I mean? That's like everything, you know, nobody wants to see your neon bright Nike shoes and a gold watch if you're going to Mexico City. You know what I mean? It's not a good look.
No, like no, you gotta
Tone down.
You gotta tone down.
Look
man.
neutral.
Flip flop.
Yeah, just
like,
neutral is the best look when you're
shorts
going
and
somewhere that you
t-shirt
don't
and,
fully
like,
know.
Yeah, just cruise around. Like, don't take space. I don't know if it's an English word, but like, don't like, you know, like, yeah, just low profile is a good word for
I
it.
feel like eye contact's another thing. Like whenever I like notice that somebody else around me might be like, you know, stirring trouble, selling drugs or whatever, and it's late at night, I just like don't make eye contact with them, and I just like I avoid them, don't make eye contact, and like try to have a neutral body, not a weak body, because you don't want to look
No,
like
you
a
don't wanna
bitch.
look
You know what I
like-
mean?
yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
important to like almost like if anything to like stand more tall in those situations. I actually
No, but
heard
that's what I
that on a
discovered when
podcast.
I used to do cornrows for a while, and like I discovered like every time I had cornrows, like people would like, you know, like take me as a tough guy, you know, and like tough
Well, dude,
guys
you're already
kinda
pretty
get drawn
big.
to other tough guys. So like when I would be in New Zealand, for instance, like everyone thought I was like some native thug, you know, like and like fair enough, you know, but like, you know, like always if we go to the bar, like the sketchiest guy would come and like, hey man, what's up? It's like yeah man, what's up?
Immediately with your smile and your what Egyptian Swedish accent that sounds like, you know, the Swedish mummy Rastafarian, he's probably like immediately like melts in his heart, and you're like, oh, this guy's not gonna hurt anybody.
No, people would be like, yeah, like, yeah, they would get super off, man. Like when I would like start talking like that, you know, they were like, what? Like, yeah, like in New Zealand, we were walking through this like hood with all these native guys, and they would like come, and like some guy with tattoos and Snoop Dogg braids would like come up to me, and like the other like guides or whatever like we were with would be like get super scared, and the guy would be like, Bihu. And I was like, what? Do some gang sign, like I would like do the same gang sign, like pew. And they would be like, yeah, what's up, brother? What's up? You know, like I'm like, yeah, man. And I'll be like, I'm from Sweden. And it's like, what? But it's good like that. I can blend in many places, man. It's good.
All right, I got two things before we
right.
get this wrapped up here. But like Egypt, what's
Yeah.
it like? You've been there. What's
Yeah,
that place like?
When I used to do the frontline
Egypt?
clothing, I used to go to Egypt. Like it's North Africa. Like it's.
Is that an intimidating place, or is it pretty mellow?
Same mentality.
You can find trouble if you want to find trouble.
You find trouble
Yeah.
if you like exactly. If you keep a low profile, you're gonna be good. Like it's been kind of sketchier the recent years. Like after the revolution and the whole thing. Like I used to produce the frontline clothing there. My dad, he had like a small little factory in his house in Cairo. And I would go there, and I go to different printing places and like really experience, and that was really good for me because like for me, I discovered like I got way more humble from that, because like I would see like people would be living off like 100, like not even, yeah, like a $50 or $100 per month, you know, in salary. Like that would be their month salary, and they would work like 6 days a week, you know. And I would be go home, and like in Stockholm it would be like this trend with people with like back slick hair, you know, and like pink Ralph Lauren shirts, and like they'd be like, there was this trend like where like people would just buy bottles of champagne just to like blow it out, and I would be like, what are these guys doing? Like, you know, if you just take the money from that bottle, you could feed like a family for a month, you know, like
Amazing.
so it was really good for me to go there, you know. And like what we were talking about before, like problem with the world and stuff is like the ego, man. Like people have egos, like, and people need to kill their egos, and I think psychedelics are some of the best things where you can kill your ego, while like chemical drugs and stuff like that boosts your ego.
Yeah, boost
So-
it for a bit and then gives you a huge crash.
Huge crash, man. You crash your soul, man.
Yeah,
Like,
you crash your
wake up
soul
the
with
next
that
day and
chemical
like,
stuff.
Where is my soul? Why is nothing good anymore? I was happy yesterday. Now I'm sad. And you're like sad for a while, you know, like. So yeah, like I really believe in like what grows in the earth, man, is natural, you know. And like we were talking about San Pedro before. I've been to Peru a few times and been with the shamans in the rainforest for like a week, and like doing ayahuasca and San Pedro, and these things are like not always like super pleasant while you do it, but they are really, really valuable for yourself if you have any kind of interest in growing as a person and becoming a better person for your surrounding and for the world, you know, like.
Yeah, I think that if you're, like, for me personally, I mean, I have my own issues or whatever like that, but I don't feel like I'm searching for that. But I do know a lot of people who, you know, if you have a few drinks with them, they open up, they are searching for something. And I feel like those things are made for people that are like searching for something, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
They don't have a full understanding of who they are, what they want out of life. And like, you know, you could go down the rabbit hole of, you know, drinking and trying chemicals or whatever, or doing nothing about it. Or you can try these natural things, which like, I'm not, you know, trying to endorse this in any way. You know what I mean? You look into it and figure it out if it's for you or not for you.
Exactly.
But like, there are, you know, people have been doing these for thousands and thousands of years. And there's a lot of, you know, if you do your research, medical history, you know, records based on like, you know, people's, you know, overall well-being of life and health and, you know, and overall enjoyment of your time on Earth increasing. I mean, I don't know. I read like this 12-hour crazy book. And it was like the biggest book I've ever read. Slash like read half of it slash audiobook the other half because it was like too much reading for me. But it was all in psychedelics. And it was just insanely interesting. And I'm not even sitting here like trying to tell the audience that I'm like, this is super trippy, you know, doing acid and mushrooms all the time. But I do believe that there's a huge health benefit in the natural sense over, you know, chemical stuff. I don't know why I threw LSD in the mix there.
Yeah, it's just
but
like look at native people in the Amazon and like everywhere in the world. Like even in Sweden, we have like native people like the Sapmis, you know, like Same, which is like Indian is not the right word, but it's like native people.
First
you know,
Nations or whatever.
First Nations from the north, you know, and they had the shaman culture with mushrooms and stuff like that, you know. And in the Amazon, you have like the ayahuasca, or you have like, you know, it's been used around times, and like around there, it's not considered a drug. Like where you could buy like this huge cactus from this little lady at the market, you know, like all legal because it's like. It's a plant.
Oh, because it's skewed by politicians and people over the course of time, therefore like stamping like psychedelics as an insanely bad thing.
Yeah.
But drinking a bottle of Jack Daniels or vodka is considered
Dude,
totally acceptable and cool.
Alcohol is like one of the worst drugs, man. Like probably like most of the worst mistakes you made in your life, you made on alcohol.
They've stamped weed as the gateway drug. You don't think alcohol is the gateway drug?
Like, dude, it's alcohol, man. Like,
it's never the weed.
I don't think many people do drugs, or I don't know, like maybe probably they do, of course, but like I think like when you try drugs for the first time, you normally after a few beers or after some alcohol, you know, or like.
Well, in a perfect sense, you don't need anything. You know what I mean? If you're the perfect human and you don't have any curiosities or whatever like that, but humans have this like itch, you know what I mean? And in general, there's not a lot of people who don't want to not feel that itch. So whether it's like, you know, a caffeine buzz or going to the gym or smoking some weed or smoking cigarettes or alcohol, people are looking for like this, like, you know, alternative to their like regular norm, which I don't even think is unhealthy. I think that that's just how humans are. You know, they're curious.
Yeah, you have to.
And you have to learn and educate yourself on what curious things. And there's enough information out there nowadays to pick your curiosities and also, you know, at least have enough information to realize what the repercussions are doing, like bad ones and good ones.
Yeah.
Because there's good things to experiment with, and then there's bad things too. And ideally, you don't have to experiment with anything, but if you were to, hopefully you pick the more natural, like you said earlier, the things that are growing out of the earth that have been here for millions of years and not things that are made in laboratory goats.
Yeah,
or
like,
that explode like in trailer parks and kill people.
Or B-52 or like some
meth,
fucking
dude, and
new
stuff.
meth or like some new kind of synthetic drug, man. Like I just don't think that's very.
No, we will never I mean, some of the best video parts in the world, especially in the 90s, were definitely filmed on mushrooms and LSD. And there's no way that I'm sitting here, you know, preaching to kids to try this stuff. You know, like I said, you don't need it. You don't need it. But like. It's amazing the creativity that it can bring out, especially like if you look at the research on people, on what they've made and invented and cured on those substances, because you get roadblock, you know what I mean? When you're like always learning and trying to like, you know, figure out math equations and blah, blah, problems. And then boom, you look outside the box for a minute and you're like, what? All along, all I needed to do was this.
Yeah. I think so too, man. Like, you gotta think outside the box, man. Like, if you have one way vision all your life, you're gonna maybe in the end, like, look back and you're like, whoa, shit, I should have, like, maybe had another perspective on things, you know?
That's why the traveling thing was so important.
Traveling is so important, man. Like, it's so good to see how people live in other countries and how they value things and, like, what they appreciate and, like, it just opens your mind, man. Like, I think it's just really good to be able to think in a way where you can see things out of different perspectives and not just like one way direction.
No one has lived a nice, normal life inside of castle walls. You know what I mean? No. If you're inside the castle wall, you always want to go outside the castle wall and you want to see what's going out. And in every single movie with a castle and they get outside the walls, they always have a better time on the outside of the walls.
Of course they do.
Oh, my man.
Yeah, but
dude. Thank you so much for coming on,
man. Thank you,
man.
Jody. Thanks for having me. I'm super stoked, man.
You've inspired me since the day I met you. You have a soul like no other. You live amazing. You live every day. Like, it's a blessing, and it's inspiring to be around you in that sense, because it's just like, yeah, you're a positive person who's always got a bright outlook. You work hard. You got your shit sorted out, dude. And yeah, you're doing it. And thanks for all the, dude, and the snowboarding too, man. There's not a lot of people who value the simplicity in snowboarding like you do. And if there were more people like that, I don't know. Actually, there are a lot of people like that. I think that like the following skews people's vision on like how simple tricks get overlooked because, the people that do the simple tricks, don't have the biggest following. But really, the people with the biggest following are just like sponsored by huge corporate companies who don't fucking know anything anyway.
Exactly, man.
Dude.
Kids, stay true to yourself. Do what you want, not what someone else makes you think that you want. Like, just stay real, man. You got to do your own thing, man, and create your own art. Do your own painting, man.
I really want to see you do a back 10 no grab. I think that'd be sick.
Well, we'll see. We're getting out there.
I really want. I was thinking the other day. I was like, I'd really like to do like a switchback 9 or a front 10 off of like a step down. You know what I mean? Because I'm still down for the spin stuff, but you got to keep it true to yourself. Like when Marco threw out that cab 10 off the toes, dude. If you haven't seen that, Burning Bridges, Kid Snow, Mark Frank Montoya, shout outs. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kareem.
Thank you, dude.
Lots of love, dude. And be amazing, everybody. Have a great day.
One love. Yo, it's still Kareem here. I just wanted to say big ups to the bosses of all bosses and big time legend Cale Stevens, man. Thanks for having us here. Every year we come out and you are the best human being possible, man. You open my eyes to backcountry boarding, and like every day I go out there with you, like keeping it loose, and like it's just so much fun, man, and like really, really good times, man. Yeah. Big ups, Cale. You're the man.